Hello and welcome to episode number 2 of this series on this estate find that I purchased a whole bunch of machinist and other items out of. And for those of you who missed it, please check out part 1. There's a few interesting items in there, and I'm going to try and be a little bit better about my transitions from video to video. So I'll also try and not drag on. So without further ado, let's get right into it. The first items I spotted were on this lot were these two Midotaur items, and I had opened one of the boxes and looked inside, took a quick peek, decided not to labor on what was in there because I knew I was going to just cut my best deal if I moved more quickly. I was also pressed for time, and there was a lot more to still go through and look at. So I ended up deciding that in addition to making an offer on this, that I would pull in some stands. They had quite a few stands set up on a table. It looked like they had gone through the whole area and found every stand they could find. Anything that even looked like a stand, I'll get to that in a moment, went on this table. So I went over and I said, how about I take 5 of these stands, these 2 items, which were the only items we found that were in a box like this. And I, when we got down to brass tacks, and I got him to just throw in this V-block I found, which I'll get to in a moment. So first, let's look at the Midotaur items. So this first item is a Midotaur Digimatic Quill Kit. And the irony on this is that not that long ago, A-Bomb, for those of you who follow his channel, just did a video on where he purchased one of these for his mill. This is part number 053906A. I think he had actually mentioned that the particular company he orders from, that they didn't have this in their current catalog, but that when he called them, they had it or were able to get it for him. So let me just show you what this is. This is something I'm 99% sure that I'm going to probably keep and install on my Wells Index mill. So essentially there's some bracket parts, some hardware, and spacing block. And the main business end of this is basically, for lack of a better term, it's almost like a digital caliper that doesn't have jaws on it, and has a vertically oriented digital display. Okay, so I don't know if you can see that. Kind of sits like this here. And essentially it's made to take the place of this little scale that's on your milling machine. And I think they made it so that that kit can be modified, or you can play with different pieces of hardware that are in there and kind of adapt it to fit on several different bridge ports or bridge port clones. And I'm pretty sure I could probably get it to work here on the old Wells Index. And basically what that does for you is that gives you a digital readout to tell you how far you're moving your quill, which is kind of neat. So figure, hey, if it's good enough for a guy like A-Bomb, it's good enough for me. Unlike the Quill Kit, which I could see putting to work and actually getting use out of, this is a horse of a different color. This is a Digimatic head, part number 164-114, Midotaur. What I believe this is, you can see this, it looks like that might be, is that mildew, mold? Oh no, that's foam. Oh, I see, okay. Stuck to the foam there. So it's been in there quite a while. This certainly appears like it may very well be new old stock. I don't know. Yeah, I would say it is, because look at the end here. It's still in its whatever cosmoline or whatever this goop is. I think what this is I think that this is a digital head for a like a Height Masters style type of surface gauge. I don't remember if Height Master is the Midotaur trade name or not, but you've probably seen those surface gauges that have a crank handle on the top, or maybe it's MicroMaster is the it's either MicroMaster or Height Master or something like that. But anyways, because I think it's several different companies make them, obviously. But I think this is designed to actually go in the place of the top part, handle or whatever. And what this allows you to do is it allows you to take a direct reading, just like with the regular handle, but it also has this interface, which there must be like an encoder or something in here, sends a signal to to another electronic device that would be able to record, I guess, the data that you're getting from your measurements. Back in the day, this was very expensive. Currently, the only way you can find these online are used ones on eBay for the most part, or surplus ones on some like surplus websites and stuff. And actually, everything I found was used. And what are they asking for these? Big money. What are they getting for these? Not so big money. It's just, I think it's dated technology, I guess, maybe, for lack of a better term. Unfortunately, there was no height gauge that I could find anywhere in that estate that this belonged to, which leads me to believe that this is going to be just something that is completely useless to me and will have to go on the bay. I mean, at least it's easy to ship. And I'll tell you right now, I'm going to go online, I'm going to look at what all the ones are selling for, and I'm going to undercut every one of those sellers' prices. I'm going to make sure mine's the cheapest one listed. Possibly by far. I'm not interested in having this thing hang around until it gets older. The other issue is, testing it. Even though it appears to be brand new, I've got no way to test it, so I'll probably have to sell it as is. I did find another device in a later trip, and I haven't checked yet to see whether or not I can actually make that device work and whether or not this would actually interface with it. So we might revisit this in a future part on this series. So now let's take a look at these stands, because I got some interesting ones here. The first stand that I want to talk about is one that I actually think I'm going to keep, because it's a pretty nice one. It's a Brown and Sharp magnetic base indicator stand. It's got a nice, good-sized magnet on it. It seems like it's got some heft to it. It's a sturdy one. It's got this nice, big, easy-to-use wing nut here to loosen this. Got some surface rust on it, nothing we can't deal with. And then on this end here, we've even got a pretty standard mount for most drop-style indicators, I believe. Even with the surface rust, I was really happy on this one. I think the way I worked it out was I ended up probably paying about 15 bucks for this stand. This is probably my second favorite stand. My favorite stand, and probably the favorite of a lot of guys, is this Noga stand. If this Noga stand had a base on it like this Brown and Sharp, it'd be the cat's meow. But what I love about the Noga stand is you got one knob, you loosen it, and all of these joints come free. So you get such versatile ability to move this thing, and then as soon as you get it set in the ballpark you want it, you just tighten that knob, and now all of these joints have become tight. Even this one on the end here, and then you've got a fine adjustment here. So that's a great stand. These are when these occasionally come up on eBay used, they bring kind of crazy money. I think the last one of these I saw was currently at like 70 bucks, and it had several bidders on it. These are great stands. All right, so the next stand I want to look at is this Midotaur. This is it says code number 7003, which I think is a series. And then there's a part number or a model, DGS-E, Midotaur Company of Japan. And it struck me as a nicely made indicator stand. The interesting thing about this one is that it's got, of course, it's got the regular clamping knob here. You get two different size holes to accommodate two different sizes of indicator. And then what's really kind of sweet about this is there's a locking knob on the side here, and when you release the locking knob, you then have this fine adjustment right here. And this is actually a well, it's kind of hard to, you can't see it from the bottom there, but this is actually a dovetail. assembly here. So you've got this fine adjustment here. Of course, you get the regular clamping knob with the coarse adjustment. So this is actually a pretty nice stand. Heavy cast base. The bad news about this stand is, and I kind of figured there's something missing here, and the good news is that the part that goes here is called an anvil, and there were actually a few different ones available. I think there's a metal one that has serrated lines in it, and then there may be even other materials that were used on these. So if you Google this particular 7003 series Midotaur stand, you can actually see photographs of people using all different kinds of indicators on these with different kinds of bases. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to keep this one, but it is a kind of a neat old Midotaur stand that's sturdy as heck. All right, next stand's kind of an unusual stand. Again, talking about microcaters, this stand looks a lot like a lot of the microcater stands that I've seen online, but again, it doesn't have that compensation built into it anywhere. This is all rigid and fixed once it's tightened down. So, of course, may very well be that they made, you know, a more economy version of a microcater indicator stand that was in this fashion. And what makes it scream microcater stand is because it's got this barber pole groove on the on here that just really makes it look like a microcater stand. So you've got this nice knurled knob here that you turn, so you can get a really, you know, a pretty precise, smooth operation for elevation on this thing. And then of course you clamp it once you're ready. And then you've got this knob here, you loosen this, which allows this to just swivel in and out. A little bit of surface rust on it, nothing too bad. And this one just has the one sized hole. And then you've got this plate with these serrated lines in it here, and I would venture to guess that this is probably supposed to be precision lapped. It's a good heavy cast iron base. And the mystery about this one is that the only markings on it whatsoever is this little placard right here. There actually is in tiny letters right there, made in Japan. I did not see that before. So I think this is a early import stand, but I've searched high and low and I cannot find this particular stand anywhere. I kept referring to these as microcater stands, and what I really mean to say is comparator stands. I think I'd be correct in saying that microcaters are comparators, but not all comparators are microcaters. In other words, that there are other devices, many of which look like normal dial indicators, like what's in this picture. But there's an example right there of, you can see the similarities, at least in design, if nothing else, to what I have here. So I think if I decide to sell this, I'll probably list it as a comparator stand. So next up we have this stand with an indicator on it. Well, I guess it might be a comparator. I've never heard of this name before. Ono Sokki. ONOSOKKI. This is a model EG-133, and it's on this nice little stand, and I honestly had no idea exactly what this was or what to make of it. I just figured it was like a digital indicator, and I haven't even tried it. The nice little surprise about this, well, there was two surprises about this. The first surprise is that this Ono Sokki digital indicator, or whatever this is actually not very valuable at all. That being said, the big surprise was the stand. This stand is also an Ono Sokki stand, gauge stand, model ST-022. And come to find out, this black block right here that I didn't pay much attention to is actually a precision ceramic base. So the reality is that this stand, without the indicator on it, is worth more than the indicator, which was kind of a pleasant surprise. So, does it work? How do you like them apples? Turns on. Oh yeah, it works. Now, I don't know how accurate it is. For instance, it's not coming back to 0. Okay, that's millimeters. Whoa. Boy, you go to inches and you get some crazy resolution there. Look at that. 0.00004. So that's what? Tenths, hundreds, thousandths, 10,000, 100,000ths of an inch. Wow. All right, there we go. So now it's zeroed. So let's see if we can get it to repeat. Oh, there you go. All it did was... There's an E up here. That might be error. I don't know. This might be a sick puppy. Well, guys, I was just playing around with this thing a little bit more and discovered that I can get it to repeat to 0 provided I don't lift this rod too far. This thing might be getting better just by the fact that I'm actually doing something with it, using it. Who knows how long this has been sitting there. Look at that, now it's coming back to 4 consistently. I don't know. Accuracy at this level is way above my pay grade. Alright, so don't know much more about this other than there is a calibration sticker on the side. So according to this, it was calibrated back in 2003, and it was due for calibration on September of 2004. And when it was calibrated, they made a note here, deviation within plus or minus 0.0001 inch. So they basically were saying it was a deviation of 1/100,000th of an inch when it was calibrated. All right, so that's that little slice of heaven. And the last stand I bought in this group wasn't a stand at all. It was sitting over there and it looked like a stand to those guys, so they stuck it over with all the other stands. But what this is, you can see by the little rubber feet on the bottom here, that's supposed to sit like that. This is a bench micrometer. A digital bench micrometer, Midotaur. Now, it clearly says Midotaur right there. There are no other markings on the actual base or frame, and as you can see, the problem we've got with this is that it looks like it took a drop at some point or something fell on it and bent this, which is a shame. But oddly enough, this actually still moves freely. Even the click works. Well, that's interesting. I just opened up the Midotaur and one battery's missing. It will make this work, and when I put the good battery out of my caliper in the left-hand slot, it actually came on with only one battery in it. It does that if you put it in the right-hand slot too, so this battery must be dead. But this thing actually will run off of one battery. Yeah, zeros. Alright, let me clean the make sure there's no debris on the anvil. 0, and I'm going to open it up 100 thousandths and close it back down, and I'm getting a 5. I'm getting a half in the, oh boy, 100 thousandths. So I'm getting 500 thousandths there for some reason. What's weird though is it's coming back to that each time. There we go, it's 130 thousandths. And we'll bring it back down and zero. There we go. Now, can we do it again? Yeah, I don't know. This might need some attention. I wonder if the lack of 2 batteries is creating a voltage issue. There's also a blue button here on the side that I have no idea what it's for. surprised it's not a light. Backlight for the, oh, you know what? Maybe this is a backlight button for the LCD readout, and maybe that's what the other battery is for. Maybe, no, that doesn't make sense because I was able to get it to turn on by putting just one battery in here, so that doesn't make sense. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, that's actually nice. This little click piece right here actually comes out. It just unscrews. So you, as far as this being bent, you could just probably buy this replacement piece from Midotaur or steal this off of another Midotaur micrometer and screw it in there. I'd be tempted to try and bend this back, but I know it'll snap. Just got a feeling it would. All right, not going to spend any more time with this. So the last item I got in this particular grouping was basically when we got down to the nitty-gritty there and we were hashing out a deal on these items. I got him to throw in this V block that I had found, and it intrigued me because it looked like a really precision kind of a V block. Got this knob on the top here, and it's got this strange, almost like a camming action here that looks like it somehow helps this lock in, but I couldn't figure out how to make this actually do anything. But it doesn't really matter because I now know what this is for. Laying on the floor was, I could just make out what looked like some kind of a very precision type of table. As I looked behind the stuff that was stacked on top of it, it had a tall column that was on it. They had told me, they said, well, that came out of a laboratory along with these boxes. And I looked at the boxes, and what it ended up being was, it ended up being a very early Taylor Hobson tally surf, a very expensive device for measuring like profiles, surface profile and surface roughness and things like that. This was a very expensive piece of equipment back in its day, but this thing had long since ran out of its usefulness. I wish I had taken some photographs of them. The boxes were very analog, old analog looking, and I think I had found some calibration dates from the 1970s on there, and I think I found a sticker, an inspection sticker from one of the Taylor Hobson inspectors dated like 1968 or something like that. And I have yet to find a tally surf that looks anything even close to this one on the internet. Hey guys, while sitting here editing, I was able to find some early photographs of a Tally Surf 4 that really match what I saw at this estate. Here's a close-up of the V block on this table, and you can see that's the V block that I was just showing. And this photo from an Asian website pretty much depicts exactly what I saw there in a pile in the corner of this basement. This is pretty much a paperweight now. So that's going to conclude this video. Stay tuned for part 3.